Message confidentiality, symmetric, and public key cryptography. So before we go further about what is encryption and what is symmetric, let me tell you a little bit about message confidentiality. What is message confidentiality? It is two or more hosts communicate securely, typically using encryption. The communication cannot be monitored or sniffed by untrusted hosts. The communication between trusted parties is confidential. So what is cryptography? Cryptography is the basis for secure information transmission on networks. Cryptography is to convert plain text used to be hidden into ciphertext, which is unreadable data using mathematics. So what is symmetric and asymmetric? This is of two types of encryption, whereby the symmetric encryption uses one key for both encryption and decryption, and the asymmetric encryption uses public key for encryption and a private key for decryption. So this is symmetric encryption diagram. So how it works? If you can see, user A and B have negotiated the symmetric key. The encryption and decryption process is as follows. User A uses the symmetric key to encrypt data and send the encrypted data to user B, whereby user B decrypts the data using the symmetric key and gets the original data. So what is pros and cons for symmetric key? The symmetric key cryptography features high efficiency, simple algorithm, and low cost. It is suitable for encrypting a large amount of data. However, it is difficult to implement because the two parties must exchange their keys securely before communication. Besides, it is difficult to expand because each pair of communicating parties need to negotiate keys and end users need to negotiate n times n minus 1 divided by two different keys. Algorithm used in symmetric key divide by three types. It is Data Encryption Standard, DES, Triple Data Encryption Standard, 3DES, and Advanced Encrypt Standard, AES. So, why we use public key cryptography? Developed to address two keys of issues. One is key distribution. It is secure communication without having to trust a key distribution center without your key. Digital signatures. Verified message comes intact from claim sender without prior establishment. So public key cryptography divides by two, public key and private key. So for public key, known by anybody and can be used to encrypt messages and verify signatures, whereby private key, known only to recipient, used to decrypt messages and sign and or create signatures, can encrypt messages or verify signatures with the ability to decrypt messages or create signatures. So how public key cryptography works? Public key cryptography, which is also called asymmetric key cryptography, uses different keys, public and private, for data encryption and decryption. The public key is open to public and the private key is possessed by only the owner. Public key cryptography prevents the security risk in the distribution and management of symmetric key. In an asymmetric key pair, the public key is used to encrypt data and the private key is used to decrypt data. These two parties do not need to exchange key before a secure communication session. sender uses the public key of the receivers to encrypt the data, and the receiver uses its own private keys to decrypt data. The receiver's private key is only known by the receiver, so the data is secure. So this is public key encryption decryption process. If you can see here, users A uses the public key of user B to encrypt data and sends the encrypted data to user B. User B decrypts the data using its own private keys and gets the original data. If you can see, attackers cannot use one key in a key pair to figure out the other key. The data encrypted by a public key can only be decrypted by the private key of the same user. However, the public key cryptography requires a long time to encrypt a large amount of data, and the encrypted data is too long, consuming much bandwidth. Public key cryptography is suitable for encrypting sensitive information such as keys and identities to provide higher security.